Hey, what's going on? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. Thank you for stopping by the State of the NFL podcast. I ask that you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is a channel where we talk about some of the hottest topics in all of the NFL. Hey, what's going on, sports fans? My name is TJ Jones, and welcome to another edition of the State of the NFL podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about some of the hottest topics in all of the National Football League. And before we get started, just like I always say, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel to grow, and I would really appreciate it. Now, normally we focus on the NFL and some of the hottest topics pertaining to the NFL. But for this episode, I felt like we needed to make an exception because even though we're not talking about the NFL necessarily, we're talking about one of the greatest coaches to ever coach in the NFL, and that is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick made his college football debut. Of course, we know that Bill Belichick decided to coach the University of North Carolina, and all eyes were on Chapel Hill. And most of the time when you hear that, you're probably thinking about the basketball team, right? Because they're one of the greatest basketball teams that people know about, right? I mean, so when you talk about North Carolina, you don't necessarily talk about football. But when you have the greatest coach of all time coaching the Tar Heels, I mean, it's going to come with a lot of media attention. And I mean, ESPN rolled out the red carpet. You had fireworks. You had thousands in attendance. You had Lawrence Taylor, North Carolina great. You had Michael Jordan in the crowd. You had Randy Moss in the crowd. You had all of these stars, right? These legends in the crowd to see if Bill Belichick can pull off the impossible, which is take a mediocre basketball university football team to the promised land. And they took on a TCU Horned Frog team, and everybody just thought that maybe Bill Belichick, his ways can translate to college football. And the start of the game, it looked very promising. I mean, they went down the field. Quarterback Gio Lopez was out there wheeling and dealing. I mean, they put 7 points on the board. Everybody going crazy out there in Chapel Hill. But then all of a sudden, something happened. TCU just went out there and just smack it down on the Tar Heels. And it was pretty obvious that there were levels to this. I don't know what TCU's head coach, Sonny Dykes, told them. I don't know. It may have been one of those Newt Rodney speeches that you hear about, winning one for the Gipper. This guy had those young men inspired. Maybe it was the fact that nobody expected for them to win. Of course, we know TCU a couple of years ago, they were a part of a high-profile game that featured Colorado's coach, Deion Sanders. And, of course, Colorado, who was a very bad football team the year before Coach Prime got there, they pulled off the upset when TCU was 1 year removed from appearing in the national championship. Even though they got beat to sleep by Georgia, they still were in the national championship. And of course, you know, Sonny Dykes probably thought about that. Like, man, we aren't that bad. We were a few years removed from the national championship. We lost our starting quarterback in Max Duggan. We lost Quentin Johnston, our star wide receiver. We just have to re-up a little bit. And those guys took it personal. I mean, after that first touchdown by North Carolina, I mean, the beating commenced. Josh Hoover, the starting quarterback of TCU, 27-36, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I mean, the running game was just absolutely ridiculous for TCU. They averaged as a collective group 7.4 yards a carry. I mean, most teams want to average between 4.5, 5 yards a clip. These guys were out here nearly running for a first down every time they ran the football. You got Kavarian Barnes. This guy had 11 carries for 113 yards, a 10-yard average off 11 carries. This guy was playing Madden on rookie out there. And then you have Jordan Dreyer. I mean, he had 9 catches for 136 yards. Anything TCU wanted to do in this game, they did. And North Carolina had absolutely no answer for it. Gio Lopez, God bless the young brother, but he went 2 hours in real time without completing a pass. I don't think I ever seen anything like that before.
2 hours without completing a pass. I don't know what this competition was in the offseason between quarterbacks, Gio Lopez and Max Johnson, but you're not going to tell me the way that Lopez performed that he was just leaps and bounds better than Max Johnson. I don't know what that was. I mean, he was out there. He looked rattled. He looked shook. He was making mistake after mistake. And it was pretty clear that TCU had the firepower and they were just way more talented than UNC. Here's the thing. Now, people want to, as my grandfather liked to say, pour water on a drowning man. Everybody's talking about Bill Belichick and him losing his fastball and all that kind of stuff there. I don't think it has anything to do with Bill Belichick losing his fastball. Inside of there is still the best coach to ever coach in the National Football League in my lifetime. I think that it comes with a little bit of arrogance because he is arguably in some people's eyes, but in my eyes, the greatest coach of all time. And he's so used to doing things his way, collecting players that he feels like has a certain intellect to be able to run his offense. He's able to kind of do things on a week-to-week basis. Like maybe he'll put an emphasis on a run this week because this team that he's going against, they struggle against the run. They'll throw a little bit more in the next week because the team that they're playing against struggles against the pass. But there is levels to this when it comes to college football. You can't just go out there with a bunch of guys that are intellectuals. They got to be able to back it up on the field with skill and athleticism. And right now, the North Carolina Tar Heels do not have that. They have 70 players that Bill Belichick has brought to Chapel Hill to try to turn around this team. Now, the jury's still out. I don't think people are giving TCU credit for being a good football team. They just expected Bill Belichick to be able to rise above it. And, of course, he didn't. And a lot of people thought he did. So now they're backtracking, moonwalking like Michael Jackson did at the 25th anniversary of Motown. But here's the reality. Once again, Bill Belichick is still a really good coach. It's just going to be an uphill battle. And I think in this game, he understood that. He understood that it is going to be an uphill battle. Now, they got some pretty winnable games over the next couple of weeks. I mean, you can get yourself on a winning track. You can gain some confidence as a team. Now, next week, they take on Charlotte. No disrespect to Charlotte, but I don't think that Charlotte is going to beat UNC. You know, Richmond, the Richmond Spiders, I don't feel like they're going to beat UNC. So when you play UCF, you'll probably have 2 games under your belt. Guys is going to start to get a little bit more confident, and maybe you can win some football games. But they have plenty of time to be able to figure it out. I think that Bill Belichick is going to establish himself in Chapel Hill. It's just going to have to take some time. But he's going to have to remove some of the thinking and the logic that he has had that has made him successful in the National Football League. In the NFL, everybody's good. There's really not a degree of separation when it comes to certain, talent and skill set because everybody has talented players on their team. The way that you actually coach those players in order for you to be able to generate wins, that's where, the coaching and everything else kind of comes into play. But it is not like that in college football. In order for North Carolina to be competitive, they got to go out there and recruit. They got to be able to win some of these players over to bring those players to Chapel Hill in order for Bill Belichick to be able to coach those guys and get the results that he seeks. Only time will tell if Bill Belichick will be the answer in Chapel Hill. It was a tough outing, but they can get themselves on a winning track if they win these next 2 games. But still, once again, I feel like the talent level of the ACC and college football is a little bit more advanced than maybe even Bill Belichick had imagined.